The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. Israel will gradually transition to the next phase of operations in Gaza. This comes after Israel Defense Minister Yoav Gallant's talks with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The U.S. official highlighted the importance of reducing harm to civilians and transitioning from high-intensity operations to more surgical ones. In turn, Gallant stated Israel's intent to continue its operations at varying levels of intensity, depending on the regional situation. Neither Austin or Gallant gave a timeline for lower intensity operations.
This is Israel's operation, and I'm not here to dictate timelines or terms. Our support to Israel's right to defend itself is ironclad, as you've heard me say a number of times, and that's not going to change. It's critical, as I said earlier, that Hamas not be able to threaten Israel from Gaza or even threaten Gaza.
We will continue to operate in different levels of intensity according to the situation in the region, and I can tell you that soon we will be able to distinguish between different areas in Gaza. In every area where we achieve our mission, we will be able to transition gradually to the next phase and start working on bringing back local population.
Hamas's armed wing posted a video message via its Telegram account showing 3 elderly Israeli hostages pleading for their release. One man who identified himself as 79-year-old Chaim Peri was seated in the middle of 2 others around the same age, speaking in Hebrew into the barrel of the camera. He said he was being held with other elderly hostages with chronic illnesses, and that all of them were living in very harsh conditions. The video ends with all 3 men repeating the phrase in unison, "Don't let us grow old here." U.S. Central Agency Chief Bill Burns is set to meet with officials of Qatar and Israel to discuss a potential deal with Hamas for the release of more hostages. However, the militant group insists that negotiations are off until Israel ceases its actions in Gaza. The U.S. and other nations are creating a new force to protect ships transiting the Red Sea after a series of attacks on commercial vessels. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin deemed this as, quote, an international challenge that demands collective action. The Pentagon says the multinational security initiative will be called Operation Prosperity Guardian. Joining the mission are the UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and other countries who opted not to be named publicly. The new mission came after several vessels were attacked by drones and missiles fired from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. The severity of attacks led multiple shipping companies to order their ships to hold in place until the security issues are addressed. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on The One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. The death toll from the explosion at an oil terminal in Guinea rose to at least 13. The blast at the West African nation's main oil terminal rocked the capital early Monday. The explosion blew out windows of nearby homes and forced hundreds to flee. Aside from the 13 deaths, 178 others were also injured. An investigation will be launched to determine what caused the incident and any parties responsible. The extent of the damage to the terminal remains unclear, but concerns over a potential fuel shortage prompted residents to besiege gas stations as black market prices soared. Pope Francis approves blessings for same-sex couples if they don't resemble marriage. More details in this report by the Associated Press.
È la prima volta che si cita proprio il tema benedizioni collegato al tema coppie dello stesso sesso, quindi è un cambiamento importante, quindi si prende coscienza del fatto che ci sono coppie dello stesso sesso e che queste coppie dello stesso sesso possono essere benedette. Da un lato si cita correttamente il termine coppie dello stesso sesso, dall'altro si utilizza coppie irregolari. Si mettono diversi paletti per dire non è matrimonio, non è niente che possa essere comparato al matrimonio fra uomo e donna. Questo ovviamente per chi come noi, persone omosessuali eccetera, vivono la loro condizione di coppia, ovviamente non è accettabile in senso assoluto, però ci riconosciamo che è un grandissimo passo in avanti.
Let's now take a quick look at other world stories we're watching. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has swept to a third six-year term as Egypt's president, winning nearly 90% of votes. The election featured three other candidates, none of them high profile. A dozen people were killed in a gun attack at a party in central Mexico. The attack took place during a posada, a traditional Mexican party held in the days leading up to Christmas. And a volcano in Iceland erupted following weeks of earthquake activity. Authorities had evacuated nearly 4,000 inhabitants of the fishing town of Grindavik in the Reykjanes Peninsula. And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.